Celeste's hands trembled as she gripped the silver tray, the crystal glasses rattling against each other. The guests' laughter still echoed in her ears, cruel, dismissive, designed to humiliate. Useless, he had called her, in front of everyone, in front of him. She could feel Mario Costin's eyes on her from across the grand ballroom, burning into her back like a physical touch. The most powerful man in the Northeast. The man who owned this mansion, commanded armies of loyal soldiers, and could end lives with a single word. The man whose home she cleaned every day, invisible in her black uniform, just another shadow moving through marble hallways. But now, standing frozen in the center of his glittering party, humiliation coating her skin like ice water, she was anything but invisible. What the guest didn't know, what nobody knew, was that she wasn't just Mario's maid. She was the reason he still breathed. The reason his heart still beat after the assassination attempt 6 months ago, when she'd found him bleeding out in his study at 3 in the morning. And judging by the deadly silence that had fallen over the ballroom, Mario was about to make sure everyone discovered exactly who she really was to him. If you want to discover how Celeste became the one person Mario Costin couldn't live without, and what happened after that moment when everything changed, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from. Every view helps bring more stories like this one to life. 3 months earlier, Celeste had stood in the unemployment office with her last $20 and an eviction notice folded in her pocket. Single mother, high school dropout. No references that mattered. The interviewer at the cleaning agency had barely looked at her resume. Costin Estate, the woman had said, sliding a paper across the desk. They need someone immediately. Night shift. You'll clean while the family sleeps. You won't interact with anyone. You'll be invisible. Can you do that? Celeste had nodded, thinking of her daughter Mia's empty bedroom, of the landlord's final warning, of the heat that had been shut off for 2 weeks. I can be invisible. That first night, the mansion had stolen her breath. She'd grown up in the South Bronx in apartments where 6 people shared 2 rooms. This place, with its soaring ceilings, crystal chandeliers, and artwork that probably cost more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes, existed in a different universe. You're the new girl. Celeste had spun around, heart hammering. A man stood in the doorway of the library, and her first thought was that she'd never seen anyone look so perfectly dangerous. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a tailored black suit that probably cost more than her car. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Sharp cheekbones, strong jaw, lips pressed into a hard line. But it was his eyes that made her breath catch. Storm grey, intense, seeing everything. A tattoo crept up his neck from beneath his collar. Intricate, artistic, definitely expensive. Yes, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone would be awake. I can come back. Stay. One word, but it carried absolute authority. What's your name? Celeste Rivera, sir. You don't need to call me sir, Celeste. His accent carried the faintest hint of Italian, turning her name into something musical. I'm Mario. This is my home. Oh, God. The boss. The actual head of the Costin family. I apologize, Mr. Costin. The agency says many things. He moved closer, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with cigar smoke. Most of them designed to keep people in their place. Tell me, Celeste Rivera, do you always follow rules? It was a test. She could feel it in the weight of his gaze. She could lie, give him the safe answer, stay invisible like she'd promised. Instead, she met his eyes. Only the ones that make sense, Mr. Costin. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. It transformed his entire face. Good. I have no use for sheep in my home. Clean whatever you need to clean, but if you find me working late, don't scurry away like the others. I prefer honest company to fearful silence. That had been the beginning. Over the following weeks, Celeste discovered that Mario kept impossible hours. She'd find him in his study at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, surrounded by papers, speaking rapid Italian into his phone. He'd started talking to her. Small things at first, asking about her daughter when he noticed the photo in her cleaning cart, commenting on the books she'd reorganize in his library, requesting coffee, and actually thanking her when she brought it. You're different from the others, he'd said one night. They look at me and see a monster. You look at me and see a man who needs better coffee. Celeste had laughed despite herself. The coffee is fine, Mr. Costin. You just drink too much of it. Mario, he'd corrected, his voice softer. When it's just us, call me Mario. Then came the night that changed everything. She'd been cleaning the study when she'd heard it, a crash from the hallway, shouting in Italian, then gunshots, sharp and terrifying, echoing through the marble corridors. Celeste had frozen. Every instinct screamed at her to hide, to run. But then she'd thought of Mario, alone in his office at the end of the hall, and her feet had moved before her brain could stop them. She'd found him slumped against his desk, blood spreading across his white shirt in a crimson bloom. His security team was nowhere, either dead or traitors. Celeste, her name on his lips, barely a whisper. Run! They'll come back. Run! Instead, she'd grabbed the first aid kit from the bathroom. She'd learned basic emergency care when Mia was born, when they couldn't afford proper medical help. Stay with me, she'd commanded, pressing her hands against the gunshot wound in his side. Mario, stay with me, look at me. His blood had been hot against her palms. So much blood. But she'd worked with fierce concentration, packing the wound, creating a makeshift tourniquet from her uniform jacket. Tell me about Italy, she'd said, even as tears streamed down her face. Tell me about the place you came from, just keep talking. He'd looked at her with something like wonder in his fading eyes. You should have run. I don't run from people who need me. Her voice was fierce. And you need me right now, so you're going to stay alive. You hear me, Mario Costin, you're going to live. His hand had found hers, slick with his own blood, and squeezed weakly. Tesoro, he'd whispered. My treasure. She'd kept him alive until his backup security arrived, until the private doctors rushed in. The next morning she'd expected to be fired. Maybe worse. She knew too much now. Instead, Mario's second-in-command, Vince, appeared at her apartment with an envelope thick with cash. Boss wants you to know the debt is paid, Vince said. You saved his life. You're free to go. This money will set you up somewhere new, somewhere safe. Celeste stared at the envelope, then at Mia playing in the corner. Freedom. Safety. Everything she'd wanted. What if I don't want to go? Vince's eyebrows rose. The boss is a dangerous man to be around. Last night proved that. Then he needs someone watching his back. She pushed the envelope back. Tell Mr. Costin I'll be at work tonight. Same time as always. When she'd arrived at the mansion that evening, Mario had been waiting in the foyer. His side was bandaged, his face pale but composed. You came back, he'd said finally, disbelief in his voice. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you'd be smart enough to run. Celeste set down her cleaning supplies. I told you, Mr. Costin. I only follow rules that make sense. And running from you doesn't make sense to me. Something shifted in his expression. He crossed the space between them in 3 long strides, stopping close enough that she could see the flecks of blue in his gray eyes. You saved my life, Celeste. Do you understand what that means in my world? It means I did what anyone decent would do. No. His voice dropped lower. It means you're under my protection now. Anyone who touches you answers to me. Anyone who threatens you signs their death warrant. He paused, his hand rising as if to touch her face before stopping himself. It means I owe you a debt I can never fully repay. I know. You don't want money. You don't want rewards. A ghost of a smile. But that's not how this works anymore, Tesoro. You stepped into my world when you chose to save me, and I protect what's mine. The possessiveness in his words should have frightened her. Instead, it sent heat curling through her belly. I'm not yours, Mr. Costin. Mario. His eyes never left hers. And perhaps not yet, but you will be, Celeste Rivera, because I've decided something tonight. What's that? That I'm going to keep you safe, even if that means keeping you close, especially if it means keeping you close. Now, 3 months later, standing in his ballroom while his guest insulted her, Celeste understood exactly how serious Mario had been about that promise. The guest's name was Viktor Petrov, and he represented the Russian syndicate, trying to negotiate territory rights with Mario. Tall, blonde, with cold blue eyes, he'd spent the entire evening testing boundaries, pushing limits. Useless, Viktor said again, gesturing dismissively at Celeste. This is the quality of staff you keep, Costin? In Russia, we would never allow such incompetence. Celeste had been pouring wine, a task she'd taken on recently at Mario's request. She'd accidentally filled Victor's glass too full, a small splash landing on the white tablecloth. A minor mistake. Nothing worth the humiliation he was heaping on her. But Victor didn't know the mistake had been entirely intentional. Mario had warned her that morning. He's going to push tonight. Test my patience. Look for weaknesses. His grey eyes held hers with intensity. If he makes you uncomfortable in any way, give me a signal. What kind of signal? A slow smile. Spill his wine, Tesoro. I'll handle the rest. Now, watching Victor berate her in front of 24 of the most powerful criminals in the Northeast, Celeste kept her expression neutral. She'd done her part. Now she waited. The ballroom went silent. Mario stood from his seat with a grace that seemed almost lazy, but Celeste saw the coiled tension in his shoulders, the deadly focus in his eyes. "Victor," he said, his voice carrying easily, "I believe you owe my employee an apology." Victor laughed. "Your employee? Come now, Costine, she's a maid, easily replaced. There are thousands more just like her." "No." Mario's voice dropped to lethal softness. "There are not. There is only one Celeste Rivera, and you've just made the catastrophic mistake of disrespecting her in my home." He moved around the table with predatory grace. Several of his soldiers materialized from the shadows, hands resting on concealed weapons. "I don't understand," Victor said, but his smile faltered. "She's just the woman who saved my life." Mario's words fell like stones. "The woman under my personal protection. The woman who has more courage in her smallest finger than you have in your entire body." He stopped directly in front of Victor. "So I'll ask you one more time, Victor. Apologize. Now." Victor's face went pale, then red. He glanced at Celeste, realizing his mistake. My apologies, Miss Rivera. I spoke in haste." "Not good enough." Mario's voice could have cut glass. "On your knees, Victor, you insulted a lady. In Italy, in my family, that requires a proper apology. You can't be serious." 3 guns clicked in the silence. Victor's own guards stepped back. The Russian looked around, finding no allies, no escape. Slowly, his face burning, Victor Petrov sank to his knees before Celeste. "Forgive me, Miss Rivera," he said through gritted teeth. "I was wrong to speak to you with such disrespect." "Apology accepted, Mr. Petrov." Mario's hand found the small of her back, warm and possessive. "Gentlemen," he announced, "let me make something abundantly clear. Celeste Rivera is not my employee. She is under my personal protection. Any disrespect shown to her is disrespect shown to me. Any threat to her is a declaration of war. Is that understood?" Agreement rippled through the room. When the party finally ended, Celeste found herself alone in the ballroom, gathering abandoned wine glasses. Her hands still trembled. "You should have let me kill him." She turned to find Mario leaning against the doorframe, jacket discarded, shirt partially unbuttoned. "That would have been bad for business." "Business?" He laughed darkly. "I almost started a war tonight because he called you useless, Tesoro. I think we're past pretending this is about business." Celeste set down the glasses. "What is it about, then?" He crossed to her, each step deliberate. "You know what it's about. You've known for weeks." He stopped close. "The question is whether you're ready to admit it." Her pulse thundered. "Mario, do you know what I thought about while I was bleeding out?" His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "Not my empire, not revenge. I thought about you, about your voice telling me to stay, about your hands keeping me alive, about how much I wanted to live just to see you again." "You don't know me," she whispered, leaning into his touch. "Not really. I'm just the woman who chose to save me when running would have been smarter. Just the woman who came back when anyone with sense would have stayed away." His other hand found her waist. "Celeste, you are the least just person I have ever known. I have a daughter. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in the Bronx. I didn't finish high school. I don't belong in your world. My world is violence and blood and darkness, Tesoro." His forehead touched hers. "You're the only light I've found in 20 years. So no, you don't belong in my world. You're too good for it. But I'm too selfish to let you go." "This is insane," she breathed, but her hands found his chest, feeling his racing heart. "You're my boss. We can't. You stopped being just my employee the moment you chose to save my life." He pulled back to meet her eyes. "I'm not going to force this, Celeste. If you want to walk away, I'll protect you and Mia from a distance. But I won't touch you. I won't ask for more than you're willing to give. And if I stay," his smile was dangerous, full of promise, "if you stay, I'll give you everything. Protection, security, a future for Mia that doesn't involve wondering where the next meal comes from." His thumb traced her lower lip. "I'll give you all of me, every broken piece, every dark corner. That's quite an offer, Mr. Costin. Mario, he corrected softly. And it's not an offer, Tesoro. It's a promise. The distance between them evaporated. His lips found hers with hunger that spoke of months of restraint. Celeste melted into him, her hands sliding into his hair. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Mario rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight. I need to get home to Mia. I'll send a car for both of you. This house has 15 bedrooms. You can have your own suite. His hands framed her face. I'm not asking you to share my bed. Not until you're ready. I'm asking you to let me protect you properly. To let me be part of your life. Yours and Mia's. It was too much too fast. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw the same desperate hope she felt. One night, she heard herself say. We'll try one night. His smile was brilliant. One night is all I need to prove that you belong here. That you both do. Mia's reaction to the mansion was everything Celeste had feared and hoped for. Mama, is this a palace? Her 5-year-old stood in the foyer, eyes wide, stuffed rabbit clutched tight. Are we really staying here? Just for tonight, baby. It's like in the princess movies. There's a library, Mario said, crouching to Mia's eye level with unexpected gentleness. 3 floors of books, and a music room with a grand piano. Do you play? Mia shook her head shyly. Mama says lessons cost too much. Something flashed in Mario's eyes. Anger, pain, determination. That's not a problem anymore. We have a piano teacher who comes twice a week. She'd be happy to teach you if your mother agrees. He glanced at Celeste, asking permission. She should say no, should protect Mia from getting attached. But the hope in her daughter's eyes broke her resolve. We'll see, baby. The garden suite was more beautiful than anywhere Celeste had imagined staying. 2 bedrooms connected by a living area, overlooking private gardens. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A bathroom bigger than her entire apartment. This is too much, she protested. This is the beginning, Mario corrected. Hours later, with Mia asleep, Celeste stood at the window. A knock at the connecting door made her turn. Mario stood there in dark pants and a fitted black t-shirt, showing the full extent of his tattoos. Without his suit, he looked younger, more human, but no less dangerous. Can't sleep? He asked. Too much to process. He joined her at the window. Regrets? About 1,000. She turned back to the view. But staying isn't one of them, not yet. That's a start. His hand found hers. Mia's beautiful. She has your eyes. And her father's complete lack of responsibility. Mario's jaw tightened. He left you. When I told him I was pregnant, haven't heard from him since. Celeste laughed bitterly. I was 17. Thought I was in love. His loss? Mario's voice was fierce. His tremendous, catastrophic loss. Silence wrapped around them. Then Mario spoke again, voice lower. I need to tell you something. About who I really am. What I really do. I know what you do, Mario. You know I'm involved in organized crime. But you don't know the details. He turned to face her. I've killed people, Celeste. Not always for good reasons. I run operations that would horrify you. I've made choices that keep me awake at night. Why are you telling me this? Because if you're going to stay, you need to know who you're staying with. His eyes held hers. I'm not a good man trying to be better. I'm a bad man trying to protect the few good things I've found. You and Mia, your good things. The best things. Celeste studied his face. The sharp angles, the shadows, the vulnerability he was offering like a gift. The man who killed people. Did he also reorganize the immigrant workers' rights program? Did he donate anonymously to the children's hospital? Did he pay for Mrs. Chen's cancer treatment? Mario's eyes widened. How did you... I pay attention. She stepped closer. I've been in your home for months. I've seen the letters you hide. I've heard the phone calls where you help people who have nowhere else to turn. Her hand found his chest. So yes, you've done dark things. But you're not just a bad man, you're complicated. And maybe I'm complicated too, because I should be afraid of you, but I'm not. Celeste, I spent years being invisible, making safe choices that kept me and Mia surviving but never living. She looked up at him. You make me feel seen, important, like I matter for more than what I can do for others. His hands cupped her face. You matter more than anything, Tesoro. You and Mia, both. Then show me. The kiss was different, slower, deeper, full of promise. Mario's hands slid into her hair, cradling her head like she was precious. Celeste pressed closer. When they broke apart, Mario rested his forehead against hers. I need to tell you one more thing. Now? She laughed shakily. Victor Petrov, tonight wasn't random. He knew exactly who you were. Celeste pulled back. What are you saying? He was testing me, seeing if my reputation was just reputation. Mario's jaw clenched. By humiliating you, he was making a statement that he could hurt what I care about. And I proved him right. His smile was dangerous. I am weak where you're concerned, Celeste. I would burn down the entire city to keep you safe. That's not weakness, she whispered. That's love. He said it simply. I know it's too soon. I know you're not ready to hear it. But I'm not a man who lies about what he wants. And I want you. Not just for tonight. I want forever, with you and Mia. Her breath caught. Mario, you don't have to say it back, but I needed you to know you're not a game. His thumb traced her lip. You're everything. This was insane. She'd known him 3 months. She was his maid. She had a daughter to think about. But when she looked at Mario, she saw something she'd stopped believing existed. Genuine love. Take me to bed, she heard herself say. His eyes darkened. Celeste? Not for that? Not yet. She took his hand, leading him to the couch. Just hold me. Stay with me. They lay together, Celeste tucked against Mario's chest. Through the window, the gardens glowed. Tell me about Italy, she murmured, remembering that night in his study. His voice rumbled against her back. Sicily, a small village. My father was Don before me. My mother, he paused. She taught me that power without purpose is just cruelty, that the strong protect the weak, because it's right. She sounds wonderful. She was. Until my father's enemies took her from me. Celeste turned in his arms. How old were you? 14. His jaw clenched. I watched them take her, couldn't stop them. My father became different after that. Harder. He taught me that love is weakness. You don't believe that? No, because I remember her smile, her laugh. His hand stroked Celeste's hair. She told me real strength is loving someone despite the danger. That's what separates us from animals, the choice to care even when it hurts. Is that why you let me matter? His smile was sad and beautiful. You didn't give me a choice, Tesoro. You mattered from the moment you looked at me and saw a man instead of a monster. They fell asleep, wrapped together. The last thing Celeste heard was Mario's whispered promise. I'll keep you safe, both of you, no matter what it costs me. She believed him. The next 6 weeks passed in a dream. Mario insisted they stay at the mansion until proper security could be arranged. Then Celeste's apartment building mysteriously underwent renovations. Then Mia started piano lessons and begged to stay just a little longer. The truth was, none of them wanted to leave. Celeste had stopped pretending to work as a maid. Instead, Mario involved her in the legitimate side of his business, real estate, charitable foundations, community programs. She discovered she had a head for numbers. You should have gone to college, Mario said one afternoon. Can't afford college when you're raising a kid alone. You can now. I've set up a trust for Mia's education, and one for yours. She'd stared at him. Mario, it's already done. He pulled her into his arms. Let me take care of you, Tesoro. Let me give you the life you should have had. The nights were the best part. After Mia slept, they'd find each other. In the library, the garden, his study. They'd talk for hours. He taught her Italian. She made him laugh. They'd kiss until neither could breathe. I've never had this, Mario admitted one night. This slow burn, this courtship. What did you have? Transactions. Women who wanted my money or power. His hand stroked her hair. Never someone who just wanted me. I want you, she whispered. All of you. But paradise never lasts. The warning came from Vince during a meeting Celeste wasn't supposed to overhear. Petrov's making moves. Still bitter about the humiliation. Says you've gone soft. Let him say what he wants. Mario sounded unconcerned. Boss, he's targeting Rivera. Has people asking questions. Found out about the kid. Silence. Then Mario's voice, ice cold. What did you say? He knows about Mia. Knows she matters. Word is he's planning something, using the kid as leverage. Celeste's blood turned to ice. She stepped into the study. Using her how? Both men turned. Mario's face went carefully blank. You shouldn't be hearing this. But I am. So tell me, Vince looked at Mario, who nodded. Kidnapping, most likely. Hold her until Mario agrees to concessions. The room spun. My daughter. They're going to take my daughter because of me. No. Mario was across the room, hands gripping her shoulders. Because of me. Because I made you visible. Because I didn't hide how much you mean to me. His eyes were anguished. This is my fault. We need to send them away, Vince said. Somewhere Petrov can't reach. No. Celeste's voice was stronger than she felt. I'm not running. I'm not taking Mia away from the first stable home she's ever known. Tesoro, if anything happened to Mia, then we make sure nothing happens. She turned to Vince. What kind of security would make us untouchable? Vince's eyebrows rose. Mario's lips curved. You want to fight instead of run. You're damn right I do. She paced with nervous energy. I've spent my whole life running. I'm done. Mia is done being collateral damage. I love you, Mario said suddenly. God help me, I love you so much it terrifies me. And the thought of losing you or Mia. You won't. Celeste took his face in her hands. Because we're going to be smart, strategic. You're going to teach me how your world works, and I'm going to help you protect our family. Our family, he echoed. Yes, you, me, and Mia. She kissed him hard. Now stop trying to protect me by pushing me away. What's our next move? The strategy session lasted 3 hours. By the end, Celeste understood Mario's empire, the territories, the alliances, the delicate balance, and where Victor Petrov fit, a wannabe trying to make a name. He'll make his move soon, Vince predicted. Somewhere public, somewhere he thinks you won't retaliate because of witnesses. Then we give him an opportunity, Mario said. Set a trap. Using what as bait? Mario's eyes met Celeste's. She saw the question. Me, she said calmly. We use me as bait. Absolutely not. It's the only way, Mario. She studied the maps on his desk. He won't expect willing bait, but if we control the situation, you could still get hurt. But Mia would be safe. That's all that matters. Mario shook his head, face pale. There has to be another way. I can't risk you. Celeste took his hands. Then risk us together. Don't send me away. Don't lock me in a tower. Be my partner, Mario. Let me be yours. The next morning, the plan was set. Increased security. Trackers in Celeste's clothes, phone, a bracelet that could transmit her location anywhere. Mia would be moved to a safe house with round-the-clock protection. Saying goodbye to her daughter was the hardest thing Celeste had ever done. It's just for a little while, baby, like a vacation. Mia's lip trembled. Why can't you come? Because Mama has to help Mario with something important. But I promise I'll call every day. Mario crouched beside them. Hey, Principessa, the safe house has a pool and a game room, and Mrs. Chen is going, so you'll have someone to play with. Really? Really? And I promise you, Mia, his voice went serious, I will protect your mother with my life. I will bring her back safely. That's a promise from me to you. Mia studied him, then threw her arms around his neck. You better, because Mama loves you, and I think maybe I do too. Over Mia's head, Mario's eyes met Celeste's, shining with emotion. I love you both, so much. After Mia left, the mansion felt empty. Celeste stood in the garden suite, staring at the bed where her daughter had slept, and broke down. Mario found her, pulled her into his arms, let her sob. We're going to end this, he promised. Petrov, the threat, all of it. And then I'm going to marry you, Celeste Rivera. Give you and Mia everything you deserve, starting with safety, ending with forever. Is that a proposal, Mr. Costin? His laugh was shaky. It's a statement of intent. The proposal will come later, with a ring and romance. She pulled back. I don't need romance. I need you, alive, safe, with me. Then that's what you'll get. The trap was set for 3 days later, a charity gala at a hotel downtown, public enough that Petrov would feel confident, secure enough that Mario's people could control it. Celeste spent those days learning to shoot, to fight, to read security signals. She wouldn't be helpless bait. The night before the gala, Mario came to her room. You don't have to do this, he said. It's not too late to send you to Mia. And let Petrov think threatening us is effective? She shook her head. No, we end this. Tomorrow. His kiss was desperate, claiming. When they broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. If anything goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, his hands framed her face. Know that meeting you, loving you, was the best thing that ever happened to me. That you made me remember what it feels like to be human. That you gave me hope, Mario. And know that I will burn this entire city before I let anyone hurt you." Celeste pulled him down to her, kissing him with everything she felt. "Then let's make sure it doesn't come to that. Let's make sure we both walk out alive and together." They made love that night, finally. Tender and fierce all at once. Afterward, wrapped in each other's arms, Celeste let herself believe everything would be okay. She fell asleep believing it, Mario's heartbeat steady beneath her ear. For one more night, they had peace. Tomorrow would bring war. The ballroom glittered like a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, champagne. Celeste stood at Mario's side in midnight blue silk and borrowed diamonds. She looked like she belonged. She felt like an imposter counting down to disaster. "Breathe, Tesoro," Mario murmured, his hand warm at her back. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple enjoying a charity event. "He's here," Vince's voice crackled through her earpiece. "East entrance, 3 bodyguards approaching your position." Celeste's hands trembled. Mario caught them, bringing them to his lips. "Remember the plan. Stay visible. Stay calm. We have eyes on you from 6 positions." Then Victor Petrov was there, his smile false. "Costine, Miss Rivera." He inclined his head. "I hope there are no hard feelings from our last encounter." "Water under the bridge," Mario said smoothly, though his hand had moved to Celeste's waist, possessive and protective. They engaged in the usual dance of veiled threats and false pleasantries. Celeste smiled when expected, played her role perfectly, all while her heart hammered, and her trained eye caught Victor's men spreading through the ballroom. "If you'll excuse me," Victor said finally, extending his hand to Celeste. "It was a pleasure." Celeste accepted the handshake, noting how his grip lingered, how his thumb pressed against her pulse. When she pulled away, something sticky remained on her palm. She resisted wiping it off. "Charming as always," she managed. Victor melted into the crowd. Mario's jaw was tight. "Phase 1 complete," Vince murmured. "Chemical analysis indicates mild sedative. Costine, get her to the bathroom now. Wash it off before it absorbs." Mario guided Celeste toward the ladies' room, stopping to chat along the way so their departure wouldn't seem rushed. By the time they reached the bathroom, Celeste's head felt fuzzy. "How do you feel?" Mario asked urgently, scrubbing her hands himself. "Tired. Like I haven't slept in days." Her words slurred slightly. "Vince, she's showing symptoms." "How long?" "Maybe 15 minutes before she's too impaired. That's when they'll move. Get her to position B." Position B was a sitting room off the ballroom, isolated enough to seem like a perfect kidnapping opportunity, but rigged with cameras and surrounded by Mario's soldiers. The trap within a trap. "Can you walk?" Mario asked, face pale. "Yes. Just need to lean on you." They made their way to the sitting room, Celeste's steps increasingly unsteady. To observers, she looked like a woman who'd had too much champagne. Mario settled her on a sofa, kneeling before her. "You're doing amazing, Tesoro. Just a little longer." "Am trying." Her eyelids felt heavy. "Mario, if something goes wrong—" "Nothing will go wrong. But if it does, tell Mia I love her." "You'll tell her yourself." His voice cracked. "You're going to be fine. This ends tonight, and then we're going home. I promise." Footsteps in the hallway. Mario tensed, hand moving to his concealed gun. Victor entered with 2 men, expression triumphant. "Ah, poor dear. The champagne was too much. Perhaps she needs fresh air?" "I'll take care of her," Mario said coolly. "Actually, I insist. My car is outside." Victor's smile was predatory. "To discuss certain business arrangements. I'm sure once you've reconsidered, you'll see reason. And if I refuse, then Miss Rivera's condition might worsen. The sedative can be quite dangerous." "But I have the antidote. In my car. Such a shame it would take too long if you waste time arguing." Rage flashed across Mario's face, quickly suppressed. To Victor it looked like defeat. But Celeste, fighting through the fog, saw the subtle hand signal Mario made. Phase 2 was beginning. "Fine," Mario said, voice tight. "But I'm coming with her." "Of course." Victor's victory showed on his face. "Gentlemen, help Miss Rivera to the car." Victor's men moved toward Celeste. She let her body go limp, playing up the drug's effects, allowing them to lift her between them. Through slitted eyes, she saw Mario following. They made it halfway down the corridor before all hell broke loose. Doors slammed open. Mario's soldiers poured in from every direction, weapons drawn. Victor's men went for their guns, but they were outnumbered 5-1. "Drop your weapons," Vince commanded, gun trained on Victor. "Now!" Victor's face transformed from triumph to fury to fear. His men hesitated. Then Victor grabbed Celeste. It happened fast. 1 second she was between 2 guards. The next Victor had an arm around her throat and a gun to her temple. His men scattered, leaving him alone with his hostage. "Everyone back!" Victor snarled, dragging Celeste toward the emergency exit. "Or I swear You'll what?" Mario's voice cut through the tension. He stepped forward, ignoring the guns. "Kill her. Then you lose your only leverage. Pull that trigger and you're dead before her body hits the ground. Stay back, Costine. You made a fatal mistake tonight, Victor." Mario kept advancing. "You thought love made me weak. You thought caring about someone gave you power over me. It does." "No." Mario's smile was terrible. "It makes me unstoppable, because now I have something worth killing for, worth dying for." He stopped 5 feet away. "You threaten what I love? You don't get to negotiate. You don't get to make deals. You get to pray I'm merciful when I end you." The gun pressed harder. Celeste could feel Victor's hand shaking. The drug was wearing off, adrenaline burning through the fog. She met Mario's eyes, saw the plan there. She went limp, completely, totally limp, all her weight dropping. Victor, unprepared, stumbled. His gun shifted from her head for a fraction of a second. It was all Mario needed. He moved like lightning, closing the distance, his hand clamping around Victor's wrist and twisting brutally. The gun clattered. Celeste rolled away as Mario drove Victor into the wall, hard enough to crack plaster. "You touched her," Mario growled, forearm across Victor's throat. "You drugged her. You threatened my family." "Please," Victor gasped. "Costine, please. Give me one reason I shouldn't kill you right now." Celeste climbed to her feet, still unsteady. She put a hand on Mario's shoulder, felt the tension thrumming through him. "Don't," she said quietly. "Not like this. Not because of me." Mario's eyes met hers, wild with fury and fear and love. "He could have killed you, but he didn't. And if you kill him now, you become the monster everyone thinks you are." She moved closer, hand sliding to his face. "You're better than that, Mario. We're better than that." For a long moment, the hallway was silent except for Victor's labored breathing. Then slowly, Mario released him, shoving him toward Vince's men. "Tie him up. Call his bosses. Tell them Victor Petrov made an unauthorized move and will answer for it according to the old codes." Mario's voice was ice. "And make sure they understand. Anyone who threatens my family will receive the same mercy." "None," Vince nodded, hauling Victor away. The hallway cleared. Soon, only Mario and Celeste remained. He pulled her into his arms with desperation bordering on violence, face buried in her neck, entire body shaking. "You could have died," he whispered. "When he grabbed you, when I saw that gun, I've never been so terrified." "But I didn't die. We didn't die." She held him just as tightly. "We won, Mario. Together." He pulled back, hands framing her face. "Marry me." Celeste laughed through her tears. "Now. Here. Now. Tomorrow. As soon as legally possible." His eyes were fierce and tender. "I almost lost you tonight. I'm not waiting another second to make you mine. To give Mia my name and my protection and everything I have." "That's really not the most romantic proposal." "I love you." He kissed her forehead, cheeks, lips. "I love you so much it terrifies me. You walked into my life when I'd forgotten what hope felt like. You saved me in every way a person can be saved. You're brave and brilliant, and you make me want to be better." Another kiss. Deeper. "Marry me, Celeste Rivera. Be my wife, my partner, my everything." Celeste looked at this dangerous, powerful, impossible man and saw her future. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." His kiss was everything. Relief and joy and promise. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, the fear was already fading. "Let's go home," Mario said, taking her hand. "Let's go get our daughter and start the rest of our lives. Together, always together, Tesoro, from now until forever." They walked out hand in hand, leaving the violence behind. Ahead lay a future neither had dared dream of, the kind of future worth fighting for, the kind of future worth everything. 2 years later, Celeste stood in the mansion gardens, her mansion now, watching Mia chase butterflies. Her daughter wore a designer dress she'd inevitably ruin, her laugh echoing across manicured lawns. "Mrs. Costeen," Vince approached with a smile. "The caterers want to know if you've decided between the chocolate fountain or the ice sculpture." "Both," Celeste said, making a note on her tablet. The charity gala she was organizing had become her passion, raising money for programs that helped single mothers and at-risk kids. "Your husband is going to say that's excessive." "My husband can deal with it." She grinned, catching sight of Mario emerging from the house, rolling up his shirt sleeves. Even after 2 years of marriage, the sight still made her heart skip. He crossed the garden with that predatory grace, pulling her into his arms despite the tablet. "What are you plotting, Tesoro?" "World domination. The usual." His laugh rumbled against her. "I'd expect nothing less." He kissed her temple, his hand resting on her still flat stomach, where their second child was just beginning to grow. They hadn't told Mia yet. "Daddy! Daddy, look!" Mia ran over, clutching a butterfly. "Isn't it beautiful?" "Almost as beautiful as you, Principessa." Mario crouched down, examining it seriously. "Should we let it go back to its family?" Mia nodded, opening her hands. They all watched as the butterfly floated away. "Mama," Mia said, tucking herself against Celeste's side. "Are you happy?" Celeste looked at her daughter, then at her husband, then at the home they'd built together. Not just the mansion, but the life, the family, the future. "I'm happier than I ever imagined possible, baby." Mario's arm circled her waist, pulling both his girls close. "So am I, Tesoro. So am I." That night, after Mia slept and the household quieted, Celeste found Mario in his study. He smiled when she entered, pushing aside papers to make room for her on his lap. "You know what I was thinking about today?" she murmured against his neck. "Tell me. The night we met, how terrified I was. How sure I was that I didn't belong in your world." His arms tightened. "And now? Now I realize I didn't belong in your world. We built our own." She pulled back to look at him. "Thank you for choosing me, for loving me, for giving me and Mia everything." Celeste, her name was reverent on his lips. "You gave me everything first. You saved my life, then you gave it meaning." They kissed in the lamplight, surrounded by books and the quiet hum of their life together. Outside, the gardens glowed. Upstairs, their daughter slept safely. Inside Celeste, their second child grew. It wasn't the life she'd planned, it was better, it was theirs, and it was everything. This story has reached its end. If it touched your heart in any way, leave a like and share it with someone who also enjoys emotional, powerful stories. New stories arrive soon. Until next time.